Excelente. The time has come for another update. It has been probably 4 or 5 days since the last one. And yeah, probably 5 days now. It doesn't matter. Thing is, I just finished the quarantine job and now I've been trying to transition back into the normal routine. It's been kind of weird to get busy again, as opposed to having all the time in the world to do stuff that I actually need to get done. But I mean, like, I hit my 500 rep mark for my bodyweight exercises, so that has been an improvement. Got myself a new hat. I like it very much. I'm still working on the Insta game. That's a lot of information. That's a lot of notes I took. Probably like do I dare say 50 pages? Yeah, probably like 50 pages of notes. Like not even halfway. So you have an idea of how much I have to do. But it has been very helpful going through it again. Like I don't really think, or personally for me, I've never been able to really understand my own notes just when I read them. I only ever understand them if I try to teach them, if that makes sense. Kind of feel like notes are just, even when you're trying to understand what the teacher is saying, still the notes are, for me, are kind of like copying from his ideas, transferring his words into keywords that I can remember. But it's not necessarily stuff that I actually understand until I truly try to process them to be able to implement them. You can process them to be able to put an idea into your own words, but it's different being able to convert that concept into a specific action that you can take. Even though if it's like really direct stuff, it doesn't really enter it doesn't really transform into a skill until you actually try to do it, which obviously makes a lot of sense. But I mean, at the same time, it not so much if you're addicted to studying, like me. I like to get into a bunch of different courses and just feel like I'm a master at everything, which is not true. You know, a lot of people would disagree, but I feel it's like being able to use what you have to its best extent. Probably that's probably why a lot of people perceive me to be a sort of Renaissance man. Anyways, that doesn't matter. The point is, today, my sisters and I have started reading this one book, 1 Million Followers by Brendan Kane. Just from a copywriting perspective, that's how they wrote this book, was actually pretty interesting. They divide it into, or I guess the first part is kind of like what you'd see in a motivational video. Title here is Be Heard, and I just go through all the reasoning and in like a more motivational language about why it is that you should be, well, heard. And then it goes into the next part, which is like frequently asked questions. It's titled "Dear Haters, This Is For You." And I like this part from a copyright perspective because any sort of copy that you create, any good copy is, or I should say any good sales copy, it's not enough to assume that whoever's reading it already knows what you're talking about, but rather to readdress all the, not the concerns, but more like the common problems that people face on an individualized level. And being able to address all of that helps the reader to really feel understood. And the psychology behind that is that once you feel understood, you are more likely to believe that whoever is saying that might very well have a solution to your problems. And this is kind of what they go through in this particular section. It's just like basic questions you'd ask. It's like, who the heck are you and why should I listen to you? You're not a famous influencer. Are your followers real? Do you currently use bots or scripts? Are your followers engaged? Does this book only focus on Facebook? Blah, 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 blah. Isn't using paid media cheating? You know, a bunch of stuff that kind of like really common questions on the marketing world. And yeah, pretty much he answers all these questions, of course educating people on what the reality is. And seeing this from a more stretched out strategy, like you would see in YouTube videos from some of the top creators who sell courses. They essentially have educational content and have those videos convert viewers into subscribers, first of all, but most importantly, try to convert them into doing a specific action that they need to do, like clicking a link or subscribing to a newsletter. And like if you subscribe to a newsletter, for example, they have access to, they don't have access, they can send stuff to your email, right? Basically, you're giving them permission to do that. And those newsletters are nothing more than copy. It's just basic copywriting, trying to get you to resonate with one particular message enough so that you can link your needs to one of their products or services. You see that with the top creators like AthleanX, Dan Locke, Charlie Hubert at Charisma on Command. Trying to think others. I don't think I subscribe to other people's newsletters. I don't think so. But yeah, I mean, pretty much if there's a way to subscribe to a newsletter or to click on a specific link that they provide in the description, that's automatically a funnel that you get into. It's not like like they're trying to suck away your money. It's more like they have something valuable to give to people who need what they have, and it's their responsibility to sell it, pretty much. So if you're interested, then great, you go for it, and it changes your life. If it doesn't, then if it doesn't interest you, then it's nothing more than a common sales strategy. And I guess you could sort of see it like filtering the people in your life, the same way that you get along better with a certain group of people compared to others is an example of that. When you become more strict about who you spend your time with, people who really add value to your life, then that essentially the kind of value that you provide for them becomes more of a social responsibility. I would even say a moral responsibility towards the people that actually care about you. They will try to get closer to you. If you're a valuable person, people try to get close. Those who actually care. And to prioritize your time mostly for these sorts of people, rather than giving away your time to people who don't even matter, who don't make a difference for you. And that's simply because they're in a completely different world, right? Completely different interests, and there's nothing really worthwhile for the two of you to spend more time together. It just doesn't make sense. I think I lost track here. I was talking about newsletters, links. Yeah, I mean, it's the same way in marketing. You call the use of funnels in just your basic social interactions. You're automatically using funnels. It's just how you feel naturally towards other people. You prioritize your times towards those who really matter to you, and likewise. So to say that you don't get along with someone, or someone doesn't prioritize you as much as you prioritize them, then it's more of a question of either unequal value to each other or unequal perceived value. Because it's one thing to be of equal value to someone else, but if they're not able to see that, then that's not necessarily their fault. It's mostly yours, because how you portray yourself is pretty much always within your own power. How others see you, yeah, you can't really control that, but what you can control is how you present yourself. I guess it's kind of like a process of experimentation. If I do this, then people will see me this way. If I do this other thing, then people will see me this way. That says. So however you perceive yourself to be and however other people perceive you to be, if there's a wide gap there, then something needs to be done, because obviously you're not communicating your value well enough to others, and that does not leave you any good opportunities, especially with those that you actually care about and those that you want to connect with. So That's one thing to keep in mind. How do others see you, and how do you see yourself? How wide is that gap? It should be seamless. When it's seamless, then you're communicating your value effectively, and you're starting to live the social life that you actually want. Try to remember. There's one recommendation on how to do that exactly. Yeah, I guess asking the people who spend the most time with you to describe you in X amount of words, say like 3 words, for example. You would do the same thing to yourself, of course, but yeah, have everyone who spends a lot of time with you describe you in a select amount of words. Do that also for your next layer of your social circle, those who are familiar with who you are but don't exactly spend that much time with you. Ask them too, how do they perceive you to be? How would they describe you in a few words? Yeah. So once you compile that list of words, see how much of that overlaps with each other, and then see whatever words that you use to describe yourself, how much of that is congruent to what others say about you. And if it's not congruent, it needs work. But if it is congruent, then good job, you're doing very well, and you're probably noticing it too. So I think we can all afford to do. I should probably do that. I'm probably not going to do it, but I should. But anyways, the reason I'm probably not going to do it is because I'm way too busy trying to create something else. Like right now, I'm not really focused on building a personal brand, but more so on... Actually, no, I guess I am building sort of a personal brand, especially with these videos. The more that you're familiar with my thoughts, let's see if this holds. It's not going to hold. 1 second. There we go. Perfect. My phone is being currently held by these hand grips. Yeah, I guess I am building a personal brand right now with all of these videos, letting you see the way that I think, how I process my thoughts, and try to express it in words. I think it's going quite a bit smoother now compared to my very first videos. Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised that I'm even talking this much, especially since I really haven't done anything these last few days. But hey, there's always something that can be of use from nothing. Something else that I got today is this book, Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. It's a book that was made from Marcus Aurelius's journaling. Marcus Aurelius was a Roman emperor I'm trying to see what day he became emperor. It says here he was born in 121 AD. The death of Antoninus. I guess in 161? No. Pedro. God, there were two emperors ruling jointly for the first time. Yeah, in 161 AD, where he was 40 years old when he became emperor. It's kind of old, bro. But he was famed to be a wise emperor. He was a big dude when it comes to stoic philosophy. The meditations, as they're called, are pretty much his thoughts on his day-to-day life as the emperor. And if I understand well, also before that, let's see what it says. I kind of don't want to read you the whole thing, just because it's like a journal entry. Failure to read is what is happening in another's soul is not easily seen as a cause of unhappiness. But those who fail to attend to the motions of their own soul are necessarily unhappy. You may leave this life at any moment. Have this possibility in your mind in all that you do or say or think. I think I already talked about this concept before of memento mori. Saying to yourself, reminding yourself that you're mortal. In that sense that there's no guarantee of the next moment of you being alive. So it's a way to value your time more. Because whatever time you spend, you can never spend it again. You never make time back. You can always, whenever you lose something, you can always create it again, find it again. But with time, you can't do that. Everyone always has 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days in a year. And no one can really change that. There's no such thing as time management. There's only how to manage yourself with the time that you have. And this idea that you may leave life at any moment is to take that more seriously. To have this possibility in your mind at all times, and to let that guide what you do, what you say, and what you think. How you speak to a person who you know is going to die is going to be very different to someone that you don't even think about their death. In a sense, you're treating other people as immortals, and in many ways you're also treating yourself as an immortal, not thinking about the fact that you might not live to see the next 5 minutes. Of course, the probability is very low, but the point is that even if it were a freak accident, or just at any moment that a flaming meteor crashes down from the sky, you can't exactly control that. You don't know when it's going to happen. So when it comes to probability, it doesn't matter how low it is. When it comes to this exact moment, it's always going to be 50-50. That's just how it is. And yeah, just to keep that in mind, he's reminding, or more so he's reminding himself here, that of that truth and to really let himself reprioritize how he does his activities and what he says and even how he thinks. It's a pretty simple concept, but pretty hard to implement, in my opinion. At least for me. I feel that kind of goes along with other things. Like some mindsets tend to contradict one another, and that leaves us behind. Let me try to think of one. For example, one idea is that we don't deserve love until we are the best version of ourselves, or that that we don't deserve what we want until, or who we want, until we are actively the best version of ourselves, which is an idea in of itself that can be true. But then there's the other side of saying, like, well, who you deserve isn't dependent on who you are right now, but rather on who you're trying to become. I feel that's more accurate on how human relationships work. I'm trying to think in terms of business. I mean, the market isn't going to value you very much if you're not giving them the value that they need. But at the same time, if you're working towards that, then I guess it doesn't work that well. I feel like it should. I'm just not seeing it right. But I'm thinking, because if you're trying to become valuable towards the target market that you're going for, then if you're not there yet, then you're not necessarily valuable. That would make sense, because people don't buy unless that they're actually decided that they want what they want to buy. And if you're not the full representation of what you're offering, then of what you're trying to offer, then I feel like it doesn't really make sense that people would be even interested in buying what it is that you have to offer if it's not what they need. But I mean, okay, I guess it's more of a thing of, I completely lost track of what I was going to say. I feel like this can go on for hours. Let's just stick to the simple stuff, just remember that you're mortal, and treat your life as such. If you knew you could die at any moment, what would you do differently? Let me know in the comments below, if you dare. Anyways, I think it's time to go to sleep for me. I am very tired. I might not wake up tomorrow, but if I do, then that is a great accomplishment. Yes. Okay, bye. Toodaloo. See you next time.